Okay, first video in like a month because I am just the most consistent person ever, if you couldn't tell. But we're back with a bang because Russell Westbrook is now an LA Laker. I honestly can't even believe I'm saying that out loud. So yeah, on draft night, the Lakers traded for Russell Westbrook in exchange for Montrezl Harrell, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, Kyle Kuzma, and a first-round pick. Basically the package that they were throwing at any NBA player and just hoping someone would accept it, and it ended up landing them Russell Westbrook. Now, it was a little confusing for a little bit because it looked like that package was going to be offered for Buddy Hield, and then we got reports that they were looking at Russell Westbrook, and then it was like, well, which trade should they accept? Are they both on the table or neither of them there? And they ended up going with the Russell Westbrook trade because it was a bit of a conversation as to, which move would be better for the Lakers. Obviously, Russell Westbrook is the better player. There is no denying that, but when you look at the needs of the Lakers, Buddy Hield's probably the better fit. Not only that, he is worth way less in terms of his contract than Russ. So while you may get the more talented player in Russell Westbrook, the fit, let's be honest, on paper, is a little questionable. The Lakers last season were not a very good three-point shooting team, and they just added Russell Westbrook as their starting point guard, a player who was pretty much the most inefficient volume shooter ever. That's not like some hater stat made up. That's just a fact. From the people who attempt as many shots as Russ, he is pretty much the least efficient ever. And to get Russ, you ended up passing on a guy who has consistently been one of the more lethal three-point shooters in the league. Now, if anybody can make this team work, it's LeBron. Like I said, on paper, the big three of LeBron, Anthony Davis, and Russell Westbrook is one of the most talented groups of players in the league, probably only rivaled by the Brooklyn Big Three. But this is the NBA. It's not always just about who's the most talented team. You have to mesh well together. Because the lack of shooting is a real problem. That's what kind of hurt them in the playoffs last year. I know they were injured against the Suns, but another reason why they lost that series is they just couldn't hit any of their threes, and Russell Westbrook doesn't help that. Not only does he not help you hit threes, you need spacing for him to be effective. If you remember when he played for the Rockets that one season, second half of the season, the Rockets went super small. They ended up shipping off Clint Capella, and they ran with no center, and they just opened the floor for Russ, and he dominated in the second half of the season because there was nobody in his way. He was surrounded by shooters, and he just relentlessly attacked the basket. If you look at his three-point attempts, that second half of the season, he almost didn't shoot any because he was so committed to attacking the rim. Not only that, Russell Westbrook obviously is ball dominant. He takes the ball out of LeBron's hands. That in itself, I think, is fine because LeBron has played with many ball dominant guards, Dwayne Wade, Kyrie Irving, and won championships with them. So, yeah, I think Russell Westbrook and LeBron can play together. It's just the rest of the cast and the three-point shooting that may be questionable. And yes, it may work, but maybe the team would be even better if they added a Buddy Hield. Buddy Hield could come in and just instantly start jacking 10 threes a game and be insanely valuable to that team because LeBron would get him open shots. And obviously, Buddy Hield is a way better option to kick it out to than Russell Westbrook. Now, I think for the regular season, Russell Westbrook is great for this team because LeBron James, over the last year or so, has been struggling with injuries. His body's starting to break down. When he had the injury this season, he basically said, yeah, I'm never going to be 100% again. And while I don't 100% believe that, if it's coming from LeBron's mouth, then I guess you have to take it. So, Russell Westbrook, when maybe LeBron or Anthony Davis miss a game or two, he can take over and win you that game. We've seen it countless times where Russell Westbrook enters takeover mode and is pretty much unguardable. At the same time, he also might lose you a few games. He may have a game where he's 4 of 18 with 9 turnovers, and you end up losing because Russell Westbrook is just being a negative on offense. But that's pretty much just baggage that comes with Russell Westbrook. You get the good, you get the bad, and you live with it. Playoffs is where it gets a little more iffy, because Russell Westbrook has been, I don't want to say exposed, but his lack of shooting and his play style has been more harmful at times the past 2 postseasons. He has not shot it very well in the playoffs. This year against Philly, 33% from the field, 25% from three. That's not very good. But especially in Houston, not only did he not shoot it very well, he settled more. He got out of that mode of just attack, and he started settling for way more threes that he had been taking. Part of that because the Lakers focused on Harden and just left Westbrook wide open. Something that teams will do against the Lakers. They'll just leave Westbrook open and let him shoot. So in the playoffs, you might get away with that in the regular season, but when teams have an entire series to plan for you, then they can find ways to expose your weakness. Against the Lakers, he shot 25% from three, but he shot over 5 threes a game. On the entirety of the season with the Rockets, he averaged about 3.5 threes, but in the second half, it was more like half a three. Like I said, he was barely taking any. So to go from maybe 1 3 a game to over 5 attempts a game when you're only shooting 25% is a problem. I mean, just a series before against OKC, he attempted 6 total because OKC wasn't able to force him into those shots, but a good defense like the Lakers forced him into those, and he started shooting 5 a game and did not shoot it very well. So, will Westbrook work? I don't know. If I was the Lakers, I do think I would have accepted the Westbrook trade over Buddy Hield because I wouldn't want to be in a situation where, I lose in the playoffs early and I'm there thinking man, what if we made the move for another star? What if we made the move for Westbrook? So, they took their chance and we just have to see how it goes. I think they can make it work. I'm just concerned really about the playoffs and if Westbrook's going to be able to show up or if the Lakers are going to find answers to the defense that will be played against them. I didn't even mention the defense they lost when they got rid of KCP. Westbrook's probably going to take his spot in the starting lineup, and Westbrook, he's getting older. He's not the defender that he was. Not that he was ever an amazing defender, but KCP was probably their best perimeter defender, and you just lost that. Obviously, Westbrook's the better player, but once again, it's another fit thing. Now, the Lakers aren't necessarily done because they still have a little bit of mid-level that they might use for a veteran. We've heard that DeMar DeRozan or a Kyle Lowry may take a pay cut to come. And if DeMar DeRozan joins, then I have no idea how they're going to do the spacing. That's 4 people in your starting lineup that aren't great shooters, and those are all your stars. That's really bad, but I mean, shoot, at this point, why not just commit to it? We'll talk about the Wizards for a minute, because the package you got back for Russ is okay. I didn't think Russ had that much value in the first place, so, I mean, take a flyer on Kuzma. Whatever. Maybe he's good. The main reason you do this is to free up cap space. Now, I think most people thought when they traded Russ that Bradley Beal was most certainly gone, but turns out Beal is committed, and they traded Russ to open up money to sign players, which I don't know who's going to sign in Washington. I don't know if you're going to be able to build a team around Beal that is good enough to compete unless your young guys like Rui or Denny just take huge jumps, which I guess is a possibility, but very unlikely. It just seems like the Wizards are stuck in this, well, we have Beal, so we need to try to be good, when it's no, you can move on. Yes, Beal is good, but I just don't see this team ever getting to a point where you can compete. Russell Westbrook is the best player in the trade. Your team is going to be worse this year now that you traded him, unless you use that money, and I don't think they're going to be able to use that money. But I guess overall, for the trade, win-win, I guess. I don't know, more like neutral, if that makes sense, because we really have no idea how this will pan out for either team. But still crazy. This now marks the 3rd time Russ has been traded in the last 3 years. It's kind of wild that a former MVP is just getting swapped around like this. So yeah, first massive trade of the offseason. I hope we get more.